there's no more education in terms of like degrees, like at this point. So my headspace was like, I was like, I need to see if I can run something and enjoy it. And that was why franchising, right? It was like the promise of franchising of business in a box. That's the logic train of why franchising.
And have you liked it so far? Like, do you regret franchising? Or I know you're probably the top performing Mighty Dog franchise. Not trying to.
I'm not, surprisingly.
You're not, really?
I'm surprisingly not. And so right at that first year, I was like, what is it gonna be? Do I go for it? And so we then hit a $3 million year, and last year we did a $5 million year, right? So we have grown at 5% month over month for 36 months. One thing I did do was like listen to you guys who are better than this than me, right? Be humble about it, get my ass kicked, and listen and apply from people who actually know what they're doing at a very high level, and be honest about the aspiration, right?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to S&B in the Trenches. I'm Bodhi Gallo, and today I am interviewing Vish of Mighty Dog Roofing. Vish, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Bodhi, for having me on. It's an honor and pleasure.
Awesome. It's great to talk to you again. We talk almost like every day, though.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your business. What do you do?
Yeah, so we are a roofing company in the northwest of Mass, of sort of north of Boston, right on the New Hampshire border.
Yes,
and what we try to focus on is roofs and gutters. And then with our referral clients, we end up doing other things. Yeah, that's the business. And it's my first sort of business that generated actual, like, tangible revenue. So excited to be here today.
Did you do another business before this, or no? Are you saying tangible
Yeah.
revenue? Did you try something?
Yeah, we tried a couple of things, right? So we started off with a healthcare services business right out of business school, and then tried commodities, like tried the VC stuff, which is a dumb thing to do if that's your first business, and then solopreneurship, which I didn't really enjoy. So it was about to take on that. I didn't really enjoy, but this one's the one that the jacket fits.
Yep, of course. And you've done a great job of growing this one. What made you
Appreciate
pick a franchise model versus just starting your own roofing company?
Yeah, right. Like so the intent behind a franchise was always, I'm gonna get a playbook. I want to get going. So imagine, like, where my head was at, right? So you start a couple of times and it's like always frictional. And at this point in life, I was like, I've hated every job I've ever had. I didn't really like it. Like, good people, great missions and stuff. There's no more education in terms of like degrees, like at this point. So my headspace was like, I was like, I need to see if I can run something and enjoy it. And that was why franchising, right? It was like the promise of franchising of business in a box. That's the logic train of why franchising. It's like you'll get a playbook, you'll get something, and you can get going if the friction was getting going.
Yep. Awesome. And have you liked it so far? Like, do you regret franchising? Or I know you're probably the top performing Mighty Dog franchise. Not trying to.
I'm not, surprisingly.
You're not, really?
I'm surprisingly not. Yes, sir. Which it doesn't. I mean, it's a great friend of mine. A couple of people actually in different markets with different models, but performance-wise, I love where the business is at, right? In terms of the size. This is the size where you know, like, yo, are we a real business or a hobby? That was a joke that we had in school. But to your point, like, do I regret going the franchise route? No, but because for me, for my situation, this could be someone else in a different situation. I don't really try it twice, right? And my headspace was, I don't like being an employee. I think entrepreneurship is my jam, but the two times I started from scratch, like the stuff that I really wanted to do was like having customers, dealing with them, having business partners like yourself, growing it, learning from the best. None of that was happening. It felt very isolating to be, starting off. And so that's where I think I don't regret going down the path of franchising.
Yeah, I think someone like yourself coming from academia, like you have a doctorate degree, right? I think franchising makes a lot of sense for someone like yourself because you could follow SOPs to the T from academia where most people can't. Like, I would be a terrible franchisee and a terrible employee because I'm terrible at following SOPs and instructions. I'm just kind of like a cowboy. But I think for you, it makes the most sense because you came from that academia world. You need structure, and that's why you've been successful.
I think it had more to do with my ADD, right? Like I needed structure because what we do for a living, man, like small business ownership, so under $40 million in revenue, it feels like a knife fight even when you're successful. So if that is the case, I feel like if you believe an SOP will help, as long as the SOP is a correct SOP. So actually, Bodhi, like what's interesting is my experience in franchising has been very much my experience in academia, where like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. Then you go in, and if it's different from the norm, I'm challenging it, and then you kind of like make your own truth happen, right? Which kind of drives you nuts sometimes, and Jerry now not. So the Stryker guys who are the best, vendors to work with. But like my point being, like SOPs are all good, but then like real world happens, meets the SOP, and then what you're gonna do. That's where the entrepreneur has to thrive.
Yeah, no, for me, is like I need Jerry and Andy for that stuff because otherwise Stryker wouldn't be what it is because I'm all over the place just like you. So I have them for SOP following because if I don't follow it, they bust my balls for days.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Before we get into the numbers and tactics of your business, like what were you doing right before Mighty Dog Roofing? Were you an employee or a solopreneur?
I was in this weird, funky phase of trying out entrepreneurship ideas and failing miserably. Everything you learn in school actually doesn't come true when the real world meets. It was a weird time in the world after COVID. There was a lot of stuff going down. No excuses. Failed twice. No excuses compared to where we are. And I think that is where I was like, I need to know if this is me or is this just like, I'm not an ideas guy. And so I took all of the academia stuff, right? So, and researched franchises like the vertical of roofing, right? The vertical of roofing made a lot of sense. And finally, as a consumer, I had a terrible experience, Jerry and Bodhi. I've told you this all over. Like, I was like, how is the guy with the biggest house in town delivering this level of customer satisfaction? And I was like, I looked around and terrible experience. Everyone badmouths this guy and he had the biggest house in town. I was like, I'm definitely playing the wrong game. And then, you talk to our common friend, John Mattson, and he's like, you're still playing the wrong game. But this game at least got me in the game, which is, I think, an undervalued piece of the puzzle, right? Like, I think you can keep looking for the damn thing. Like, I was like AJ Wasserstein at Yale, who's like a very well named in ETA world, right? Was my professor. And like, you can research till you like 90 years old to find that perfect business. But at least like for me, it was important to get in the game, and franchising got me in.
Awesome. No, it's good you take the chance. And like, what did people around you say? What did your family say? Like, I know as an Indian dude, your family's all about academia, getting a job, going to either like studying science, doctors. Like, what did they say about it? They think you're crazy still?
It depends on which part of my family. My in-laws, so my wife was brought up in New Hampshire and Connecticut. My in-laws have like, they can't believe what just happened in front of their eyes over the last 3 years. And my parents, like they're like, what just happened? And then my parents, though, I don't, like, we talk about it once a year, right? And they're like, yo, like, he's like, how's the business going? And every year I'm like, I don't know, Ma, like something's going down. Like, I still show up and smiling. I get to work with some smart people, help some people. And I think my parents would have still liked me to be an Indian professor. So it's something that hasn't changed. Because there's no one in my family, Bodhi, that actually like does this, like what I do, like this, like.
I know. No, I know that.
There is an uncle. There is an uncle, but like
Indian dude, so I know that.
Yeah. There's like, I have more W-2s in India and here as family and friends. So there's no like benchmark. And Indians as a whole, I feel like are all about benchmarking. It's like,
I know that. No, I know that.
So they don't know what it is like to be like, a high performing national brand franchisee. Oh, is this a Subway? Does your son own a Subway? And I'm like, my mom's like, no, it's not a restaurant. He does something. And there's no roofs in India, right? So it's very different, like, conversation.
Yeah, and I'm sure your family members, your mom's friends all talk about you. I know Indians love gossiping and whatnot. Like, I grew up with a ton. My neighbor growing up Indian. I grew up with a bunch of Indians, and I know a bunch of chatters, a bunch of yentas.
It is what it is. Like, it's more Italian too. Like, and the Jewish friends I have, it's actually very similar in like,
Oh yeah, no, I know
what
that.
does this guy
I know
do
that.
for a living? It's what does the fuck does this guy do for a living? I'm like, I don't know, he puts on roofs? Roofs? He doesn't look. So like my Twitter thing, and that's why it's like the Indian roofer, because my customers, my family members, it's just something I've leaned into now.
Yeah, no, I love that. And like, what was your first job like? Like, tell me about your first job ever, the first roof you ever did. How many
Yeah.
squares was it?
Oh,
2 layer,
Lord.
1 layer rip.
Brother, let's go. The first job was a gutter job. It was a gutter leak. So the Indian roofer doesn't get the first roofs, right? So think about like a BNI meeting. You're there on a Wednesday and you show up the first 2 months, right? You're like, hey, starting a new roofing company. I'll be the project manager. If anyone has any issues, blah, blah, blah. Do the pitch, do the pitch, do the pitch. Nothing's coming. Crickets. Show up at a house, I'm like, oh my God, nothing's working. So then at some point it clicked to me that the trust factor is huge, right? So that's why the audits that you guys do at Stryker is so important. It's like, I can add value, right? And I was like, what's the simplest thing that you can trust a stranger with? And my insight till today, and I think it's untapped, was like, do you know anyone with like leaky gutter? Because it'll rain a couple of times a month, even in Boston. We don't have storm weather traditionally. And I pitched that for 8 weeks straight. 8 weeks straight. And that was my first lead out of BNI. A painter who's retired and sold a CertaPro painter, another franchisee, success story. And he was like, hey, we were doing this paint job and the guy definitely has a leaky gutter. I just don't want to call back. So yeah, Vish with his True Work pants showed up and like he not only had the leaky gutters, I went up on the roof, shaky legs.
You repaired it yourself.
I wish. No,
Say,
right?
Shit,
No.
dude. Yeah.
No. I talked it myself, and then that was the big insight. Was like, we need to really like this is going to be a game of having enough shots on goal, which is lead generation.
Yep.
Then ensuring that we get to the bottom of what the fuck is going on with my customers, and ensuring that the work gets done at a high level. So the first roof that I ripped off was that roof that came off a gutter leak. And then I was like, yeah, and then, the rest is history. It was like a 25 square job, still one of my best wins ever. And I was hooked though. That was the big aha moment, is like, oh, I can do this. This is real money. People are giving me real money and I just have to now just get good at it. And that has been a 3-year journey.
Awesome. No, that's an awesome story. And do you like the gutter business versus roofing? Like, how much of your business is roofing versus gutters?
Yep, gutters are, I still consider that. And all my reps who are going to hear this, my entire team who's going to see the podcast is going to be like, we never hear him stop talking about it. And I'm like, gutters
why I'm talking about it.
Yeah, yes, sir. I love the gutter business. I feel like the cost structure of how much money you're giving somebody versus the value you're getting is so good. It's so good. And I figured that out by help. Like initially the first 3 months, there was only gutter leads coming in my way. I was solving them. I got really good at it. And I understood why people even think about gutters. There's a deep-seated pain and the cost per lead is low. The solution, most people can afford it. You get happy customers and you're sort of like, that's how I found my why. So it's close to my heart. It's like, why do I do this? Like my wife was like, another gutter? You're never going to make enough money. These franchise fees are not going to pay themselves. I'm like, but honey, I'm like helping a lot of people.
There's a lot of money in gutters. Who are you buying them from?
We're buying it from a local guy who extrudes it on site. And then I'm in the market for a gutter supply chain. Yeah, that's a great
business. So my father-in-law ran a gutter business like that. Only supply house.
Only supply. I love it.
Dude, the margins are ridiculous on the supply houses of those business. Like, they're ridiculous. He has 2 gutter machines, like 2 gutter leader machines. He just makes gutters. Dude, that business prints. Like, it'll do 1.2 million in top line, and its profit will be like 500 to 600,000 with no Google business profile, just word of mouth, selling to people like you.
Yep, and I love my supplier. I love it, and I don't want to get into that because the reason I do it, and that's something that I've shared with other Mighty Dog franchisees, I've shared with every roofer, is I do that for lead flow, right? Because I
was about to go into that.
It's about lead flow. For me, it's like lower customer expectations, easy to satisfy them. But I love that business, and if I wasn't a franchisee with franchise fees, that is probably the business I would go into. If someone's hearing about it, like Bodhi is correct. It is a 50% net margin business. There are national franchises on it just on gutters. Like Brothers Who Just Do Gutters, I think, reported their
Great business. I
item
work
9.
with like four of their locations.
Yeah, it's like their item 19 was
business.
talking about like 40% net. And I was like, yep, I believe it. They actually also install it, and they have a subcontractor model. So that's a great business. I think it is, Ned's Gutters out in the Boston area is a private equity owned just gutter cleaning firm, and they dominate PPC. And those guys are an amazing,
They'll buy
amazing
people out
machine.
too.
Yep, all the
They
time.
buy people out
all
like
the
crazy.
time. Yeah, and PE bought out Brothers Who Just Do Gutters. The Britspan group did. I think 18x EBITDA. True story. Great business.
Crazy.
It is ridiculous, right? And I think it's not going to change anytime soon because customers don't believe you should pay a lot of money till you show them the value. So it's a great business to be in. I love that business.
Yeah. No, I think it's also important, like you said earlier, your first roof job came from a gutter job. It's like, okay, if you only make 10, 20% margin on that gutter job, you're going to sell the roof if you do a good job on the gutters, and it puts your foot in the door.
Yes, sir.
Where you're on their roof already, looking at the roof, and you're like, hey, your gutters are broken, but you need a new roof within the next year because I can see leaks, your plywood about to rot or whatnot.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And then like people get stuck up on the leaf filter model that went to 2 billion and scaled. I think Q and I are talking about the entire gutter as a business. Like you can clean gutters and make money. You can make gutters and make money. You can install gutters and make money. You can put gutter guards and make money. It is one of those beautiful things in home services that like you deliver a lot of value and you get to capture some of it.
Yeah, no, it's not talked about enough. I'm gonna make a post tonight about how to take a gutter company to $1 million in under 1 year.
Dude, that's like such a great hook, man. I think I'm like seriously considering a crawl space, which is very much going to be a
Crawl
lead
space is
flow
a
for-
really good business, dude.
I saw that.
Really
I
good
saw your
business.
post, right? And that's a
That one
lead gen for
flopped,
my.
but I posted it too late.
But my point is, that's a great lead source. Like, I want to do a
yeah.
pest control business for my roofing business. I want to do a crawl space business now, based on your post, for my roofing business, because my guys are in the attics checking out roof stuff all day, and crawl space is great.
one of the buyers of of the dumpster business, one of the
Yes,
buyers,
sir.
like in the couple people bought it, like went in partners. One of the buyers owned a painting company, a really big painting business. And
Yes,
what
sir.
he did is he took his email list from the painting business and started spamming them with junk removal and dumpster rental stuff, and then vice versa. So he did both things, and it worked extremely well. He took the dumpster rental list, talked about painting, and then took the painting list, talked about dumpsters and junk removal, just as a lead source because he already had a list of customers and got new customers from that alone.
That is amazing, right? So this is like
not
what you're
talked about
telling
enough,
me.
this type of stuff.
It's not talked about enough, right? Because
Just
what you're telling me,
cross-selling
yeah,
at the end of the day.
Yes, sir. So that was like why get into this whole thing is like we had a terrible experience, right? So to your point, like we had like a landscaping company swear at my wife, bust up my sewer pipe when I was doing some landscaping work. I think this generation of SMB owners that are coming in, the ones that are actually thriving, either are gonna like do a giant number of roll-ups, Bodhi, like your water heater model, like roll up every freaking water heater guy everywhere, or do this where, and that's my goal, is like I love what I do. I love my neighbors. I love doing their roofs. I'm gonna just cross sell and be like a local entity because I hate getting on airplanes anymore, except for vacations. And I think that's gonna be an interesting one. So like, I don't know how many people read your stuff because you're all over the numbers, but every time you post something, they're like, I will make $3 million. Like your dad's Generac business. Like I'm the biggest fan. I read all of them. I'm like, shit, these are like real stuff, man. Like
I'm happy you do because they're extremely well thought out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm happy you do that because I use Whisperflow. I know you're a big fan of Whisperflow. Anyone
Use
listening to
Whisperflow.
this, get Whisperflow. Vish
Yes.
actually put me on, believe it or not. Everyone knows I'm a big Whisperflow believer.
Yes, sir.
I'll Whisperflow it into Claude, and then Claude will break it out to me as a thread.
Beautiful.
And then I post it.
And then do you
So
auto
it
post
usually
it
takes
or do you
like 30
actually
minutes.
post it? Do you auto
I
post
post
it?
it. No, I don't.
You
I don't
post it
auto-post
yourself.
anything.
That's what
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
dude.
I love that. Yeah. You gotta own your social
I don't
media.
auto-post.
Like, yeah.
I don't auto post
love that.
shit. I mean, my other social medias I don't own, but Twitter I do because I love Twitter. I can be myself on there. Like you
Yeah.
could too, you know. Like, I
get
shit
you.
on people all day if I have to, and like I don't
I
need to shit
swear
them
like a
out.
sailor. My mom and dad will never be
Yeah, you
on
can swear on here
Twitter.
too. Well, maybe you can't.
Maybe
If your mom and dad's gonna listen,
Yeah, this is gonna be a big moment in India, right? You're gonna be a household. Like they will start be like, "Hey, that boy,
my name's
is he
Bodhi.
Indian?
My name's
Bodhi
my name's
Baba,
Bodhi, dude. Yeah.
Bodhi, oh Bodhi Baba. Vish has a new friend. He's so handsome. Is he single? We don't really know. He doesn't really talk about this film. Like Nicole, don't hit me, but like he's so handsome. He's like, I'm like, yeah, man, that's what's up. Like, oh, can you get Auntie Kathy's like daughter married? He's in Palm Beach, Florida. Oh my god.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, give me a lot of views in India. I'll tell from YouTube. And what was your revenue year one? Like, be honest. Like, what was your revenue year one? You're 2.5 years in. 1.5. That's pretty fucking good.
1.5, yeah, it was. I did all the mistakes, right? Every mistake you've ever thought
Everyone
of,
does.
I've probably done them. And I think that's the biggest lesson. 3 years in, right, is you'll make a lot of mistakes, and and so my first year, to answer your question, was 1.5 million. And that was a big decision point because what I realized was there's only two paths ahead of me. One is optimize at that level, be a solo guy. And there's actually a couple of no matter how you look at it, success stories within the Mighty Dog system, people I respect and what they've achieved at that scale, right? A guy with a couple of guys pulling in 300K net after franchise fees, which is ridiculous in the franchise industry as a whole, right? In home services, because it looks small, but as you grow, it really starves the small business. But like at the end of that first Christmas, Bodhi, I think that's when we became friends. I started texting you on Twitter, and you were very kind to like.
That's when I rejected you, I think.
Yeah, I remember you rejected me like, you're too fucking small, which was like, all right, let's get like I think that negging works with small business owners, right? So anyway, I was like, this guy's like really cool.
I mean, the reason why I did that is because, sorry to interrupt, the reason why I did that is because we wouldn't be here now.
Yes, sir.
We
I
wouldn't be on this call now.
But then that's the cool part, right? Like, so we thought of it, and I think I told you, right? I'm like, there's a clear, like, it's a fork in the road, man. Like, I can optimize at this $2-3 million level, or after 3, and I had spoke to somebody who successfully exited their Mighty Dog Roofing franchise and doubled their investment. I don't know about the sweat capital, but they did double their investment, and we talked about it. After 3 million in our trade, you want to hit 8. And so right at that first year, I was like, what is it going to be? Do I go for it? And so we then hit a $3 million year. And last year, we did a $5 million year, right? So we have grown at 5% month over month for 36 months. And this is something that I joke with my dear friend Jameson, that it sounds small, but try doing that for 36 months. I had more hair. I had, it's really hard. And you can't get there without good partnerships like we had with Stryker Digital, with our supply chain, with Sagan actually, right? Like John's team. And because I want to be like, oh yeah, I'm like really great, right? I'm really great at this. But I'm like, it's not really about me. The one thing I did do was like, listen to you guys who are better than me, right? Be humble about it, get my ass kicked, and listen and apply from people who actually know what they're doing at a very high level, and be honest about the aspiration, right? So from a numbers perspective, that's top line. And I've been saying this for about 9 months on Twitter, like revenues for vanity, profits are for sanity. But then we have reinvested almost 80 to 90% of our EBITDA into growth experiments like headcount, marketing channels, service product lines, right? So to like zoom in, like the name of the brand is Mighty Dog Roofing. I think our dalliance with siding and windows is actually a dalliance, right? It's a distraction. Like we do siding and windows to help our people and our clients with roofing and gutters. So yeah, those are the top line numbers that I had for the first 3 seasons. Our goal is to hit 8 million, and because I feel that is a break point from an operational perspective. Right? Like, I think that's where things have to, then again, from 8 to 20 is the next level, right? So,
yeah. Right now we're at like 12 million, give or take. Stryker Digital, we're at like 12 million, and 8 million was the breaking point, Like, you're 100% correct there. 8 million was a breaking point. 1 to 3 million was the point where we were like, let's start Review Rover. Let's start an accounting business. And then at 8 million, it was like, why the fuck did we ever start all these other businesses? Because we have the golden child right in front of us where we can get people the most results for. And
that is where we are, right? Like all the customers to whom I or my team made promises that we couldn't keep. I don't call them headache customers, right? I call them customers that taught me a lot, like who trusted me with their hard-earned money, and I couldn't serve it at our level, right? Like at that what we're capable of. So that's when when that broke, our mission this year is to be like really, really good at finding customers we want to work for and deliver an amazing experience for roofs and gutters, right? That is.
I do the same thing.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if by not this July 4th, but by next July 4th, we're at that level where I'm like, wow, this is now a really good conversation to have with people who are at the next level, right? So.
Yep. And tell me, like, what's been the hardest part of growth this far? I assume cash flow, but cash flow is
scary, dude. Cash flow is scary, dude. Like, because
I used to knock on people's doors. I literally used to knock on people's doors and be like, when am I getting paid for this dumpster we dropped to your house a month ago? Like, what the fuck?
Yep. Like a month? Are you kidding me? We've had anyway. But my point is the hardest thing. Let me think and give you the real answer on the hardest thing. The hardest thing is actually, I think it's you versus you. I think the journey of the entrepreneur has been the hardest thing, right? Because at some point I could have chickened out and ensured success at that 3 million level. Because I would have been like, yo, did my thing, let me go take a W-2. At some point, I just cleaned that out of my head. There's no going back for sure. But like the hardest thing has been the internal journey. Just a Vish, God's honest truth. Because I can blame anybody. I can a lot of Mighty Dog franchisees have ended up getting into fights with the franchisor and all that. And I think my truth has been to become a really good operator. And see, I can spend 2 years fighting with a franchisor or utilize this platform
We'll get you nowhere.
Versus this conversation and where we are and the customers we support and the staff we've been able to build. I think all of that is because we made the decision to get really good at this, okay? Now, operationally, what is hard? I think convincing people that my small little company is a great career move. I think has been really hard. I think, and I've always said that, and everyone's like, no, you can learn it. I'm like, dude, you think I'm not the type that'll read a book and try to go do it? I think hiring staff, either subcontracting or otherwise, having quality control and having the discipline to grow the stuff, that's been the second half of the journey, right? And it's been fucking hard. It is really, I know my mom's gonna listen to this, but it's been really, and my mom's seen this too. It's me crying. I rather deal with a lot of stuff, but I'm so grateful for the team I have today, right? Because they put up with me. They wanted me to be the person I am, and I'm like, this is gonna be Vish 24/7. Gonna deal with it. That's been hard, but getting that the first 3 years of getting the people on board and being like, oh, I know you make a lot of money here. You gotta take a little less money here, but if you hit the numbers which I think you're capable of, you're gonna make way more money. And sometimes the journey takes years, man. My longest tenured staff member is 2 years, and I know the gentleman was making a lot more money somewhere else, right? That's a lot of belief in a random Indian guy trying to climb roofs 2 years ago. My sales manager's been with me for a year, and my cloud team, every one of them now, I know they're going to come and poach them, and that's fine because it's like the Netflix story. I want them to do well. But getting people to come work and help you build your enterprise, it's really hard. I think it's underappreciated. And what is funny, and this is my last point on this, and this is why it's really hard.
Yeah.
Every other W2 person who's listening to your podcast, which I think a lot of them are, it's oh, I've run operational teams. I have done this before. I'm like, yeah, but was your name on the door? No, you're gonna get your ass kicked because even if you have great people, I know somebody, a dear friend, who's interviewed 60 people, right, to get his general manager, the operator to run their business. But then once you get them in, even if they stay, grooming them, growing with them, that shit is people. That is the hardest thing to pick as a new business owner.
I mean, take a look at Jerry. You've worked with him firsthand. We've taken Jerry. He was 16 years old when he started working with us. It's 17 years old. Now he's 20. And there's a picture of the first day I met Jerry till right now, and you're talking about going bald. Like we've seen him become a man, and it's kind of crazy, you know. Like we've seen him become a man.
It's crazy.
Jerry's 20, but people could think he's 35 because we've
His
just thrown
maturity.
his ass into the ringer, and his maturity is insane.
Good for
You
him.
know, like
He's amazing.
it's tough for him though,
Ads.
because
Dude, like,
tough for
why
him.
is it tough for him? Why is it tough for him? Because you guys are such
because he's
insane
20.
people.
So imagine Jerry talking to another 20-year-old, you know, or Jerry talking to another 23-year-old or 28-year-old who's still in a W-2, you know, like imagine that. He's 40 years old in his head. Like if you think about it, he's 40 years old in a 20-year-old's body, and we'll make him a millionaire by the time he's 25, you know, like easily.
That's the goal.
And
that's the goal.
That's the goal. But like your people, how much of your
Sure.
team is offshore versus inshore?
2/3 of my team is offshore.
Nice. That's baller.
2/3 of my team is offshore, and we're not stopping.
Any Indians?
Pakistani.
Yeah.
Like my talent.
How your family will feel about that?
Actually loves him because his math is better than my math. He's my accountant. I like love him. Like, dude, you've got to understand the Indian parent's brain, bro. Like, you got to get into that. Like,
dude, I do.
Like,
that's why I'm
I'm
asking.
like, Shahbaz's math is way better than my math, bro. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about here? Like, so my parents love Shahbaz, right? And you know, they speak in Hindi. Like, they speak in Hindi, and he speaks in Urdu. It's great. No, I think the mandate to my head of talent, you know, is like, go recruit from 9 billion people so that we can service these 40 zip codes really well. That is the single sentence. Like when I was recruiting her, she was with this like VC-backed startup, and I'm like, you're gonna make more money somewhere else, but I'm trying to do something that's really cool and insane, and I need your help. But this is your mandate. If it's good for you, come crush. And she's amazing, right? And like, I'm not joking. Like she's crazy. She's crazy good.
Yeah. And her English is probably amazing too. All the Pakistanis I've spoken to have amazing English, like amazing, probably better than me.
AI helps it, right? AI helps it.
Yeah,
but I think the global talent, global talent is cool. Go ahead.
Global talent's awesome. And then like inshore talent, for example, do you subcontract every job? Do you have crews right now? Like how do you handle that?
We are 100% subcontracting. Right, because our insight has been that in our market, and roofing is micro-fragmented, right? I wish there was a national market for roofing. There would be more consolidation, and my enterprise would be worth more. But we're 100% because I think the value in roofing is that initial thing I talked about, the gutters, right? Can you actually find out what the F is going on with your property, and then ensure that whatever is scoped out is done correctly? That it is insane the number of mistakes we find, even in our own jobs, that we have been continuously correcting as we get better. So we 100% subcontract, and I think that itself is a journey, right? And then that is easier than hiring like staff that works with you every day, because if the good word spreads that you do what you do, you pay people fairly, and you hold them accountable, but you're not like, you know, you're not an impossible person to work with. I think that's easier than, you know, adding people to
your sales guys are W-2, right? Because I've talked to quite a few. Okay, good. I've talked to quite a few private equity guys, for anyone listening, and they all tell me when they're acquiring a roofing company, if your sales reps are W-2, it makes your business way more valuable than 1099 sales reps.
Yes, sir.
And it's like people don't realize that. That's super important.
Because what is the resource that you control, right? So, and this is not only like HVAC companies, they're like franchise HVAC companies, right? In the end, if you have 1099 sales folks, right? What is the resource? How is, like, you kind of the best sales system in the world, but if you have 1099 sales folks, they can just go work for somebody else, versus what they're really buying when they're buying a W-2 sales force is you have enough of a system and structure and an ability to pay your staff that is something that's not going to just roll out as soon as we buy that entity, right? So so that was a decision we took early on to, and it's just like cash flow. It's just like cash flow. It's like I sweated it, I still sweat it, because the best of the best players need pre-qualified, preset appointments, and that's a whole game in itself.
Now, a roofing funnel, and a marketing funnel that we do to home service business owners, it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. The more I talk to home service guys, it's like, dude, I'm a service business, you're a service business, I'm just serving you, and you're serving the consumer. It all works the same, and people don't realize that.
So sales folks have to be W-2. Yes, sir.
Yep, they have to. And how's your relationship been with like working with Stryker Digital, working with us at Stryker Digital?
Yeah, so Stryker's been amazing, right? It's like I'm an absolute Indian uncle, and I think that behind the scenes, you guys badmouth me like that guy. But I also believe, like, just like recruiting staff, right? You have to be super clear on what you want in your vendors. And Stryker's been somebody the interesting part is like you do these sprints, and I signed up for a sprint, and then the logical next step is to go on a retainer and do it. Versus, and as the record will show, I didn't do it, not because I was looking for a better deal, maybe or maybe not, but the best thing that Jerry's head will now actually explode. I could see it on the screen. He was like, Jerry, it's really about being a good business partner for the long run. Like I know you will double my lead flow, but then I need to set them correctly. I need to sell them correctly. I need to install them correctly. I need you to not worry about negative reviews popping up. The quality can't go down, right? So grow responsibly, which I think took me another year, right? I don't know the timeline, but I think then I came back at the weirdest time. And I was like, yep, now we're ready, because now I have strength in the organization to support a growing lead channel, right? So Stryker, I think the other thing, so that's one, is like great business partner, driven entrepreneurs, and that's amazing, great team. But the second part is also like, y'all will not do something just because it's there, right? Like your French fry, your burger and French fries model, and you're super selective about who you work with, which is cool. And I like that, right? And I like that everyone's growing up, right, in front of our very eyes. Great team, super responsive. Never really. So it was funny when I get these reference calls for Stryker, and I tell them how I work with them, and they're like, but attribution. I'm like, bro, you're like, Bodhi gave you time of day.
That's a you problem,
That's a you. Yeah, I'm like, bro, like, why are you blaming Bodhi for like, you're at 2 million and you're a roofing company. I know there are companies 50 times your size in your market, and you don't have an attribution problem. You just need to go close those damn leads that are showing up. And then, so no, I've enjoyed it, and that's why I want to be a poster boy for you guys in terms of like went through a sprint, built some baseline for his business, and then took the time to build up the other muscles so that I'm not wasting time later on. It's like, where are my leads? I'm like, bro, like, no, like, let's work together. And the last piece on this is like, I really like how you treat your people, right? Which is super important. Like in the initial years when I was hiring the wrong people myself, I'm telling you, it's like you want your customers taken care of if your people are taken care of. And, we talk to Jerry a lot, but like, through personal DMs and stuff, but like even the new folks that I'm working with, like Steve and Jacob, like seeing Maria grow up within your organization, that tells me like this is a living, breathing, growing organization, and I want to be a customer of theirs, which is actually inspiring us to sort of take some of those values as we look at other partners in the supply chain, or within our own team.
Yep, awesome. No, I appreciate hearing that. That's awesome stuff to hear.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say to our audience, like anyone? Anything else you have to
say? I'm trying to be more present on X because X has been amazing for us. So please go find me on X and DM me, ping, respond
what's your X handle?
That Indian roofer. There's only one in all of X, bro. Like, just find me. Happy to talk to you. Happy to share our story. I just want to do that because a lot of good has come out of X, and that is the one thing that would really be helpful. Like, that's how I found Bodhi. That's how I found John, Christian Ruff, like people who have actually helped me become the entrepreneur today. So yeah, go find me on X, and I'm also on LinkedIn, but I'll be way more formal on LinkedIn because all my former friends from my W2 life cannot identify with me.
I think you should try to be crazy. Try to be crazy on LinkedIn. See, I tried it and it got me nowhere.
Yeah, I don't think it works. I think it's gonna freak people out. My cousins are on LinkedIn. I'm like, yo.
Yeah,
but X is something I really enjoy. Yeah, I have lots of cousins, but like, love X. Find me on X. Happy to engage with anyone and be part of the journey.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for coming on, Vish. Everyone, this is Vish. If you got value from this, smash the subscribe button below and leave a review. Thank you for listening.